Welcome back to the workshop. Will, what are we doing?
We are restoring a 100-year-old power hammer.
Before we do that, let's thank our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Everybody on the planet right now that has a mobile phone could be playing Raid Shadow Legends because it's free to play. Tens of millions already are playing it. You can play Raid anytime, anywhere. You can play it on your iOS or Android device and continue on a computer. There are 10 challenging dungeons in Raid where you have to defeat a very tough boss. There's 12 different campaign locations where you can take part in a fully voiced story spanning 12 unique places. And there are 13 unique factions, so whatever type of character you like, whether you like knights, whether you like dwarves, or the undead, Raid has something for you. And of course, they have 460 unique champions for you to check out. My favorite champion is the Crusader. I just love that Zweihander blade. That is awesome.
These are some scary monsters we're up against. We're gonna take him. Come on, get him. And we'll give you some of this. Ha ha! He's down. Onto the next set of enemies to defeat. Take that! Oh, I think we weakened them. Well, we'll give you one of these bad boys. Oh, one more to go. And there we go, on to the next one.
What's new with Raid? Well, they've just released Artifact Forge, where you can save time and craft artifacts directly. They've brought out some amazing new champions, and they're working on a Doom Tower. Folks, you supporting Raid help support this channel, so please hit the link in the description down below. Because every new player that does is going to be getting 100,000 silver, 50 gems, 10 mystery shards, and a free awesome champion, Hexweaver.
You'll be getting more special rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days.
So a big thank you as owed to Raid. Check them out down below. Thank you, folks. Let's get into the video. Before we get into restoring this power hammer, a story and some news. Folks might wonder, how do we come to working together? How did that happen? Well, several years ago I came skiing here, a little 3-day vacation.
First, we made a Pirate's Cutlass together in the UK.
We did do that.
It was actually the first time that Jamie came and videoed and edited for you as well.
Absolutely. So the timing of Will and Jamie all linked up.
And so that was July of 2017, and then January of 2018, Alec needed a break, and so he came out here to Montana to hang out and go skiing.
Absolutely.
And then what was it, a week or 2 weeks later?
Yeah, I give him a call. I say, hey, Will, you know, I've been thinking of moving to America for a while. Bozeman looked kind of cool. You want to work together for a year?
He was here for 3 days in January, which is literally the worst time you can visit Montana.
It's a lot of snow. It's very cold.
Oh, it's just horrible. And he, just loved it enough that he wanted to move out here and asked me to work with him.
Absolutely.
And so I was in school at the time, and he asked me to work with him for a year to kick things off. And, well, it was a very, very fun year, and so I decided to stay on for another one. And here we are, coming to the end of that second year. It's about time for me to move out and do my own thing.
So come January 1st, Will is running his own business.
That's right.
Going solo, making knives, doing all sorts of cool things out of your own shop.
Yep. It's going to be a good time.
By goodness, you're going to need a power hammer at the new shop. And so this video series is going to be us fully restoring Will's power hammer. We're going to get this thing running sweeter than a
Mississippi June bug.
So Will, when did you buy this thing?
I bought this thing back in 2017 when I was 17 years old. I bought it in the spring, had it shipped up here in the fall, and I didn't really know a whole lot about power hammers, but the first thing I did was take it apart, and I pretty quickly figured out that it was not going to run.
That's no good at all. But what we now have is we have a hammer that is completely taken apart, and we're going to use this opportunity to give you a little bit of an idea of how this thing works. So this is going to be the most important part of the whole series, because this is going to be your glossary. This is the frame of the power hammer. Up top here,
The crankshaft bushings, they're made out of cast iron, not bronze, which is a little bit uncommon, but it's a little bit more durable.
You then come down to here.
This is the ram guide here. So the ram, one part slides here, and then the faceplate clamps on right here with 4 bolts.
You come down into the big old belly button of the machine just to pass stock through, and then in here is the pocket where the anvil sits in. The operating principle of that FAIRBANKS power hammer is much like this little giant.
In that we have a drive pulley up here, we have a crank disc that has an eccentric pivot attached to it with a pitman, a crosshead, side arms, a spring, and toggle links down here that drive the ram.
And so with the spinning, up and down she goes. And so here are all the components exploded out for you to see. Will, can you show us what are some of the problems that you found?
So the main issues are here in the linkage, and this hammer had a really hard life and not taken care of. So all of the holes are really wallowed out, and if I were to run it like this, it would just kind of tear itself apart like it has been doing for the last 100 years. So all of the links and arms and everything there needs to be completely redone.
Every bit in the linkage of Will's machine is out of spec. This is all weld bead. These holes are so loose. This linkage is a sloppy piece of work that's been roughly flame cut out. Look at that play. It is, frankly, shockingly worn out. And we've got to fix a whole lot. About the worst part of Will's power hammer was how it was guided. This is the ram. This goes in place here. There is a faceplate that goes in front of it.
And that's this piece right here. If you notice, it's brazed up here on this tapered part here, that a tapered gib, which because it's tapered means that you can slide it down as it wears out and adjust the tension in the ram. So that sits in here like this. However, the gib that came with it is at the wrong angle, and a third of it is missing. And the reason that it's missing is because it was at the wrong angle, which meant that as the ram was traveling up and down, it was wedging the gib farther into the faceplate, and so eventually that just ripped off a big chunk of it, and that pressure of that slight angle difference completely busted out the front of this hammer here. And so our good friend Jason from Fireball Tool helped me fix this up. He ground this out, ground out the whole crack, and then brazed up the inside there. And on that same visit, we remade a tapered gib for it.
And this thing is made out of water jet cut steel with bronze wear plates.
That's right, and we used his big old massive shaper to make this thing, which is cool because that's how the original ones were made as well.
So Will, where do we need to start on fixing this?
So we've got the frame cleaned up. We've got everything up top is looking good. We've got to start, I think, with the linkage. We've got to get the pitman and crosshead taken apart.
So this needs to be loosened up.
Yep.
And we're going to completely remake all of these.
Yes, but better.
But better.
But better.
Wow, that thing is stuck.
Yes, it is. I think I might need to come in here with a die grinder bit. I'm worried that it's maybe starting to mushroom out on the top and just wedge it tighter.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let you mess with this while I mess with something a little more fun. So good luck. I'm gonna go get some of your 2-inch plate.
Lovely.
With some bling cut. I've got the wrong size cutting tip for this monstrous piece of plate, so I think I have an errand to run.
So, as you guys saw, I did a lot of wire wheeling today. Wire wheeled off the drive pulley, the crank disc, the anvil straps, the frame bolts that hold on the faceplate, the spring, and the wrist pin, oh, and the brake disc. And now I'm gonna go head upstairs, now that the pitman's cooled off, and try to grind out the inside of that crosshead to see if I can get that thing to come loose and free up a little bit.
Okay, so 3 places, none of them have the cutting tip. Currently, I have spent almost an hour's worth of time running around for 1 cutting tip. Trouble with running errands is, at what point do you just call it quits? When do you stop? When is enough? If we stop now and we don't find this cutting tip, what will have this been for? The hunt continues, folks. We're gonna get this cutting tip if we spend all day trying to. So here's the deal. We don't tell anybody this was a failure. We're just postponing when we cut it. How's it going, Will?
Good, did you learn some stuff at the store? You got a good tip?
Yeah, no, I got a good tip at the store, but I'm not gonna cut it today. I'm actually gonna cut it tomorrow when the UPS guy arrives. It wasn't a wasted trip, didn't go to 5 places, but I am gonna cut it tomorrow for reasons. So the reason I need to get a cutting tip is I need to process this bit of 2-inch plate that Will bought from the steel supplier, because I need to forge from it 2 toggle links, and they serve the same function as these links right here on the Little Giant. You can picture how that works. While we can't cut the plate today, we might just be able to make the links from some of the round bar that we have at the workshop. So we're gonna weigh this. It's 9 pounds. We're gonna multiply that by about 1.3, maybe a little bit more, 1.5. That will account for material loss during forging and during machining. We're gonna make up a 3D model of the links that we need to make, cut some steel, and start forging. Okay, so here is our toggle link. It was made in Fusion 360 with parameters, so I was able to adjust things as needed. It's about 30 cubic inches total, so I cut off 6 inches of that 3-inch round bar. And now if we were machining this, what we would need to account for is we would need to account for all of that material that we're gonna be removing, all of these 2 pieces. Well, we're not machining it, we're forging it. So instead of needing to cut that material away, we're going to start with a block that's actually shorter than the final length. And from that block, we're gonna isolate out this center rectangle right here. And I calculated this by working out the volume of the center rectangle, 12.2 cubic inches, working out the surface area of the end of my forged block, working out how many inches of length, therefore, is required to forge this section, and from that I know I need 1.5 inches of this block to forge that centerpiece, so this block now needs to measure 6.2 inches long, 2.35 inches wide, by 3.5 inches high. So with the steel hot in the forge, it's time to do some forging. So what we're now doing is we're working on the 25-ton Anyang press to thin down that middle portion. Okie dokie, here are our 2 forged pieces. As you'll see, I made a modification from the original design. I forged down in here to get the actual length needed. I'm not too thrilled with the top one. I'm fairly happy with the bottom one. You know, I think this is one of the first times that I've done some measurement requiring forging. You know, despite forging for a long time, have I ever really needed to forge to measurements so that I can then machine it into a specific size? I don't know if I have had to. It's a very simple forging, but when you're dealing with a piece of steel that needs to end up weighing 8 pounds, trying to determine the exact amount of steel to use to start the forging is quite difficult. Because when we work on smaller things, and we need to meet a certain size, we'll just grind away the material, and we're happy to forge it thick and grind it thin. But here, I cut the steel at 12 pounds. I'd initially planned on 15 pounds, but because of the scale of this, you can imagine, if you go from 12 pounds to 15 pounds, and you still need to get it down to 8 pounds, well that 12 to 15, that's 3 extra pounds of material you've got to grind or machine off of there. So the larger the forging, the more important it is for me to calculate accurately the amount of material I need, and I think on these, I did not calculate very accurately. Clearly shown by the fact that I had to forge that center section down, and also shown by this. The width on them is perfect. That's what I spec'd out, 3 3/8. Wait, no it's not. I spec'd out 3 1/2. Okay, the width is not perfect. The thickness was meant to be 2 3/8, and that's 2 and a little under a quarter. The overall length is meant to be 8.2 inches. And we got that right. We got plenty on the overall length. But this top one just looks unconscionably rough up here, and I need to have a careful look at my measurements of the final piece to see if we will be able to make the toggle links out of this, or if we need to start again. But before I do this, it's time for a little final inspection of these glorious anvils that Matt has just ground. Great job.
Thank you.
These look spectacular. Wow. This is it. This is so exciting. Anvils cast here in America, beautifully finished out, ready to find some new homes. What a thrill. I just opened up my file here, and center to center should be 5.8 inches, and I am quite nervous. I am quite nervous indeed. 5.8. Oh, golly. How did I do this? How was I able to make such a huge error in my calculation? This one looks like it could work. That looks fairly close. But I've stretched this one out too far. It's about 8 5/8 of an inch long compared to this 8 1/4. Goodness, I'm just nervous, folks.
So this pitman here, this right here with the eccentric pivot, is a remade part, so it's not the original. And my guess is that they used slightly too small round stock here.
And so that's why it was so difficult to get out, because they mushroomed it over so it would stick, so that it wouldn't come out.
Exactly, because the one that they made was too small and it didn't work with the tensioning system from the original hammer.
Are you sure it's not the grinding that you did on it?
Yeah.
You didn't grind it much?
No.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I'm running into some troubles too.
No!
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I thought this was going to go so quickly and perfectly.
Yeah, I might need to make new toggle links. I'm about to work that out. But it was a good lesson.
Well,
I learned how to make them, and I'll make them better and faster next time. We need to make a new one of these.
I think the pitman, I think the crosshead will be okay, but I think we need to make a new pitman.
Well, on that note, we'll find out what we have to do to solve these problems on the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. It's been a pleasure. Will, excited to see what you do in your next venture. Gentlemen, ladies, please go follow Will on Instagram. Let's thank our sponsor before we go. Raid Shadow Legends. Check him out in the link below. Thank you.